Good morning and welcome to my live stream. This is To Fight CPS with your host, Bob Pace, and I'm glad that you found me. I'm found on Facebook, Fight CPS Bob Pace, and I have right now linked 7 rooms to this YouTube live stream, and they're Facebook groups. They're linked here, and I am broadcasting on YouTube using the StreamYard application. It's a very, very warm welcome, and I'm glad that you're joining me. And we're here to talk about CPS. Now, I call CPS the Child Protection System. It's a government entity in every county, in every state, and it's also worldwide in every country. And this show is a worldwide live stream, and it reaches to everybody around the world. I have right now 50 U.S. states that have had people that have texted in or joined me or so forth, including also the District of Columbia. I also have 21 countries, from Indonesia to Bangladesh to India to Saudi Arabia to Liberia, to Libya, and then over to Africa to Liberia, and then down to Sudan, to Rwanda and Mozambique, and then 4 provinces in South Africa, then up to Europe, England, Scotland, Wales, Denmark, and Sweden, and then across the pond to North America, which I've already talked about. In Canada, I have 4 provinces. Of course, all 50 U.S. states people have called in, and then I've had the District of Columbia, then south the border, Mexico, and then South America, Grenada, and then across Pacific, I've had New Zealand, and I've had Australia, 2 states there. So I've had a worldwide opinion about CPS. And the common thing that everybody seems to be having is they're hitting people that are down and out on their luck in life. That could be a loss of a job. It could be a loss of a home through like the hurricanes and the rains and the river flooding out on the East Coast. A lot of people were displaced. They lost their home down the river, and now CPS is after them. So it is kind of hard there. So let me hold on 1 second here. I wanted to say hello. Oh, okay. All right. I just want to make sure I'm at the right room. I had some background coverage, and so my background had disappeared. It's been a black screen, and so now I see it there. So, and we have now Fight CPS with Bob Pace, and that's our topic this morning. The number 888-888-6582 is the law offices of Vincent W. Davis, and he can be reached at that number, as well as any other attorney or any attorney needs you may have. It not only is for the CPS or dependency court or family law or juvenile law. It could be also criminal law, divorce law. It could be real estate or the workplace or injuries or anything like that. That is the law office of Vincent W. Davis, and he is a fighter of an attorney. He's been practicing law and fighting CPS for 39 years, and he's the one that produced this podcast. And then we have my show producer, Grace, who is works behind the scene. She's my producer, and I want to thank her for her time that she gives her and makes this podcast possible. She handles the issues about being a guest on my show, and also about getting a chance to talk to Mr. Davis on this podcast. Now, I have lots of people that come in here. I have about 25 to 50 regulars, and I really welcome them. I really, really do. This is about you, not about me. I had to have a case. I'm a loving father. I've raised 6 children. I have um, almost 42 years of marriage experience, and um, I have a lot of life skills experience too. But I'm here to help you all. I can relate what I went through, and I've come up with 5 rules that may or may help you. And in the past, I've had people come back to the room that said that things I've said, things I've talked about have helped them. As long as it helps you, I'm happy to hear that, because my goal is to help you all. Now, I want to welcome NYP, and they're from California City, California. And they've been on my show off and on, and they have a case where their child had 11 broken bones, or newborn. And I have some good news for you, NYP. I did some research, and I think this may help you. This may help you. This is actually given to me by Faye Manley from okay, let me see that note that I have here. Yeah. Nope, that's not what I'm looking for. Yeah, Faye Manley, who's from Richmond, Kentucky, says there's a common thing when children are born early. They can have um, a problem with a bone disorder. They could have something called, and you could have a genetic test on soft connecting bone and joint disorder, which may be reason why the bones were broken. Um, and you need to check for rickets and check for osteogenesis, imperfectus, OGI. Also check for Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. Parents accused of these disorders, um, they're accused all the time of these disorders, and so NYP, that may be why your child had 11 broken bones, because if they have that disorder, even the nurses that are changing the child's diaper or checking the child out may inadvertently break a bone. And so, with this thing, you got to have this checked out for rickets and osteogenesis, because you're being blamed for your 11 bones broken in your child, and you may not be at fault at all. You did not know that. So I really want to tell you that I did check that out, NYP. Now, David Roman, welcome. Yes, I hear that you're very concerned for people's rights and getting their children back today. Being that you've been through it yourself, and agree that Vincent Davis is very intelligent. Well, thank you, David. I have no idea where you're from, but I appreciate the comments there. David says, but you fail to let people know that he has a chip on his shoulder when it comes to people on drugs. Okay, I don't want to be talking about the politics or bad mouthing people. So, with due respect, I like to just keep it to CPS questions and answers and comments about CPS. This is not to talk about a disgruntled. That's something I could do privately. But Mr. Davis, I will tell you this. I've known him a long time. I've known him about 15 years. And he was hired by me. And yes, it was very expensive. I had to sell my home to get the money to pay for him. But he has got back numerous of children. In fact, the CPS, the Child Protection Systems in some of the areas, have actually used his videos to help their people be trained to fight him because he is a big fighter about that. Now, what may have happened between you and him, the money thing. I know with the money thing, right now, he offers a free consultation for 15 minutes by being a guest on my podcast or by calling in. That's free. And then for $60, he'll talk to you for 30 minutes. There's a website, it's a ticket below me. And I've not heard this amount of money here for consultation. But NYP, I hope you got what I talked to you about, because we have a person, David, who I do not know where you're from, David. And I really liked to be fair and honest here, but I don't want to depict this is about not about bashing people, it's about helping people. Now, some parents do have problems with drugs. Now, when you are with CPS, they're investigating. They're investigating a complaint, either by a layperson or by a professional. The problem being is that the complaint is believed to be true, so you're guilty till you're proven innocent. And there are bad parents out there, and there's good parents. And I'm not saying every good parent is being prosecuted, but I've talked to over 900 people, and they all have something very much in common. And if you won't identify where you're from, David, I have no idea what your case is. He fought, I know this firsthand. He fought and got my 2 boys back. I know he got my 2 boys back, and he fought for them. He fought for them. And that is your own personal view, and I respect that, David. I have no problem with that. Anyway, NYP, he has ostracized. Okay, there's the problem. You're being falsely accused, NYP, for breaking 11 bones broken in your child's. He has that bone disease, and you could do a genetic test and check that out. Thank you. I see you did find it. I told you I've been researching for you. I do try to help everybody in this room, and I try to be fair and more than honest. I'm not a lawyer, but for 15 years, I've learned a lot, and people have come back there and talked about it. Do you want to tell me where you're from, David, and what your case is? All I have to know is the county your case was in and the state, and what your case was about. Were you charged with neglect, or were you charged with abuse, or both of them? Also, we need to use proper language in this room. We have to use proper language in this room. All right, you're from California. Well, that's great. If you want to talk about your cases, but I cannot have you badmouth anybody in this room, even if a social worker, we do say our social workers are bad, but we do not specifically name a name of a social worker, or we do not sit here and dwell on that. We need to think of the positive things we can help with, David. We need to do that. We need to do that. So, now NYP from California City, it's a very rare condition, and out of 1 out of 20,000 babies have it. So I've shown the courts the letter from the genetics doctor, and they still have been scheduling their own experts, and one has only seen my baby. You need to do more than show the courts the paperwork. You need to subpoena the person that wrote the report. It's hearsay with paperwork. You need to bring the person in and have them testify under oath in court that that's what his expert opinion is. So you need to do that. And I know that CPS is trying to railroad it, but you need to have your attorney work with it and do that. And I know you've been falsely accused. And I'm so glad that you were on top of this. I had no idea that you knew about this. You need to get your babies back, because if you have proof that they have this, then inadvertently the hospital staff wasn't, because you said he was home only a couple days. And so that's really important. Now, the proof you have was on a piece of paper. It's hearsay. I don't know how many times I've emphasized to people, if you're going to have something important like this, you need the author in court so he can be cross-examined by the opposing counsel, the opposing attorney. And so that's why you need to subpoena him. Now, you don't have to subpoena somebody if they come freely. If they come freely, you don't need to subpoena them. But if they don't want to come, then you subpoena them. And so that's really, really, really important there. Now, I had to give David a timeout, David from California. I feel bad about it, David, but we're not going in a positive direction. I want positivity in this room. We're here to help one another, not put down someone. If you have a problem with Mr. Davis, you can call his law office at 888-888-6582 and say you have a problem with Mr. Davis. I'm sure the receptionist will pass the message on to Mr. Davis. And so if there was any money spent, I know there was agreement signed, and you need to look at your agreement and see what it says on that. It's opinion, even with blood work proof. No, it's not opinion. If you have the person that authorized, who did the testing, come to court and tell firsthand knowledge that he is a professional doctor and that he can endorse what the paperwork says. That's what you need. Now, you found this out in September, but you never told me about this. I'm really confused because I've been sitting here worried to death about you guys, because I did not know this was found in September, because you've been on the show off and on for the last couple of months, and all you seem to tell me is that you're being wrongly accused of 11 broken bones of your child. And so when I did the research, I found it out that bone disease that your son has is allowing people that even picking up the baby to check the temperature can break a bone, or change a diaper, moving a leg or an arm or something like that. So I'm glad you found about it, but I wish you had told me that sooner. So you say my paid attorney never said this. All right, I'm so sorry. If you hire the right attorney, and that's another thing I find most people are doing, they're hiring a criminal attorney to work in CPS. You need to hire the right kind of attorney, the attorney that has a background in juvenile law, dependency law, and family law. That's the kind of attorney that you need to hire. And I don't know what this attorney you hired. It is an amount of money. You need to, very important. And since we're talking about attorneys, that's one of my rules right now. And what I want to say with one of my rules right now is that you need to have a trained, licensed professional attorney that is background is juvenile law, family law, and dependency law, and they fought CPS. So you should ask 2 questions. You need to find 3 attorney candidates. This is for everybody. You need to find 3. I have one for you, which is Mr. Davis, and I'll talk to you about him in a few minutes. But what you do is you call in and say, are you a professional legal dependency juvenile family law attorney and has fought CPS and got children back? If the answer is yes, you go to the second question. And the second question is, when the case is closed, have you ever filed a civil lawsuit in state or federal court against CPS, against the child protection system? And if the answer is yes to both those questions, then what you need to do is that you need to further call that person. All you need is 2, but they're giving you Vincent. And these 2, you want to talk to them about the retainer, and you want to see the chemistry between both of them. They can either do it Zoom or you do it in person. It's very important to have good chemistry. If you're able to talk to them and they listen, then that's good chemistry if they understand. So you have to make that decision yourself. Now, I have no idea how you approached the attorney you hired or what kind of attorney. My feeling is his background may not be that great. If he wasn't able to present that, I'm just a lay person, and I know a lot for a lay person. All right, so you understand what you need to do, and the court still hasn't seen what you have, this information. Now, who did the test? If it's a CPS worker doing the test, they're not capable. This is the problem. It's like using their court-appointed attorneys. They work for CPS. The judge works for the whole room is against you. There are corrupt CPS entities out there. You got to be very careful. Not all CPS is corrupt, but there's at least 900 of them out there, because that's how many people I've talked to, over 900. And so they are corrupt. So you need to have a professional in court, and you need to have your attorney work for you. And I hope he's the right attorney. But the court has acknowledged, but understand what I need to do. Okay. Even when my baby was released from the children's hospital, he had his other leg broken from there. I told you, if you have a disease and you're born at birth with that disease, even the child coming out the birth canal could have broken bones. And even the child who's being examined by the nurses or wrapped by the nurses too tight or something could cause a broken bone. That disease he's born with, his tissue is too soft, and it's really easy to break bones. And all you have to do is have your attorney can sue the hospital. You can sue the hospital, and you can do that. You can sue the hospital. It's not opinion. Whoever did the blood work that drew the blood and the lab technician, you could bring all those people into court. You have to bring the people into court. That's how you fight cases. I must have missed that part that you told me that they did the test and it came back positive. I assume that is a child protection system, but they're not trained doctors in that field. They don't have a background. A lot of times, the child protection social workers will think they're clinical psychiatrists and say parents have a mental problem or the child has a mental problem or they want to prescribe drugs. They're not clinical psychiatrists. You got to be really careful. These child protection systems think they're God. Um, Now, the hospital seems they're trying to protect themselves. And so, why they're probably, doing what they're doing, I don't know. I don't know all the details. But it says in his chart mostly that child abuse, but they never acknowledged that they broke his other leg. I know it's insane. I know it's sad, NYP. I know it is. Thank you, David. San Bernardino County. Okay. You're talking about a case in San Bernardino County. California. Okay. NYP, the courts know, and genetic doctors, that is my doctor, Side Kaiser, did the test. I did it, not CPS. Well, I'm confused. Did CPS say it's positive or you say it's negative? I mean, the test is supposed to be positive because he does have the bone condition and his bones are there. So all you need to do is have the person that did the test appear in court and testify under oath that it's the truth, and he's available to be cross-examined by opposing counsel. That's social services attorneys, opposing counsel. And your attorney needs to be a fighter in there. If you hired somebody, they need to do their job. If they don't do their job, you say you can sue them for negligence and you can report them to the bar and you can demand your money back and you can do a lawsuit against them and get your money back. All you have to do is prove them they didn't do the following things and that you can do that. I know this is a lot of work for you. So far this morning, we've had David from San Bernardino County, California, that uh, is have a hard time with an attorney. In his CPS case, I have no idea what his CPS case is about. This room is a forum for CPS cases. It's not so much the bad mouth. I know we are talking negative about CPS, but those are a few. CPS have gone rogue, meaning that they've found money more entertaining than helping out families. They don't believe in reunification, everything. You see, CPS was was started by Congress demanding that social services set up a department that deals with protection of our children from neglect and abuse. Further, they're supposed to help out families with the need of food, shelter, clothing, transportation, education, medical, and even finding a job. And if it's necessary because a child's in extreme danger, they need to take the child and put them temporary in foster care or maybe in care of one of the family relatives. Maybe they need to remove the child. But that's only if they're in danger. What's happening now is it seems every time there's a case against a family, that automatically they take the child, automatically they come to the home, automatically the person at the home lets them in. They don't know the law. You're not allowed to come into a home unless you have permission, or there's violence taking place, or there is a warrant that the judge has signed a request to search the home, to take a child, to talk to a person. You don't need to talk to them. And one of the greatest things you can do when you start out your case is not talk to social worker. The first thing you do when you're involved is to get a hold of an attorney and have the advice of that attorney help you out. And I don't mean the court appointed attorneys. CPS is hoping that you'll use the court appointed attorneys because they're caseloaded of 30 more cases. They're not trained in juvenile law, family law, or dependency law. They're only trained in criminal law, and they work for CPS. They're controlled and paid by CPS. They're one of the pals of the opposing counsels. So, you want to get a real attorney. And I've already told you how the search one won. And after you get those two and you call them, then call Mr. Davis. And you can have that free consultation with Mr. Davis either by calling in or being a guest on my show, or calling in my phone, or guest my show. That way you're guaranteed a 15-minute private consultation with Mr. Davis, and then you can ask about his retainer and those questions you need to know and see what the chemistry is. It's so important to have good chemistry with an attorney. It's so important there. So I'm glad you're able to discover the OGI. I am glad you discovered the OGI NYP. I really am. That's super. Okay. So NYP is asking, so imagine how I feel to do parenting classes only because I took my baby to the ER to find out that at least I found this out about my baby. I guess you're talking about the genetic disease. I used to be a school bus driver for 20 years, and now I'm not fit, insane. Um, no one is saying you're unfit. You're taking it a little bit too personal, NYP, and it's okay. Um, you knew about this disease in September. When you talked to me the last couple of months, you mentioned nothing about the disease, and so when I researched it, I found it, and I'm sharing it with you and anybody else that's listening. There is a rarity that babies sometimes are born with a genetic disease, and one of them is this. It's called rickets. It's where the bones are so soft that just by touching the person's arm, leg, or whatever, it breaks the bone. And that's why your child had 11 broken bones. And you've done a test and it's tested positive. And you need to have the attorney work for the money you're paying that attorney. And he needs to have the doctor subpoenaed or the technician or whatever the person is to discover this, whoever did the testing. They need to be there because they can testify. You see, it's all right to throw in documents all the time in court, but unless you have the person testifying, those documents are worthless. They're just a story on a piece of paper. So if you're dealing with any court of law, it's always very important that you have witnesses. These are things I wish I had done early in my case. I wish we brought in people that that could testify. You know, I did the whole case wrong. My wife and I were so frustrated, and until we got the attorney, Mr. Davis, he was able to orchestrate it. But at the end, it had a sad ending. And when our social worker retaliated against us parents and said, "You'll never see your daughter," we did not imagine what she did. And somehow she was able to buffalo our 12-year-old daughter to thinking that was the right thing to do. I don't know why she would think that way, but because the social worker committed perjury, she lied on the stand. She said something that wasn't true, and Mr. Davis proved it. She was angry and she was doing retaliation. She told our daughter, "You're 12 years old, and in California, you can emancipate from your parents." We did not know about this. We're not, it is sad, but CPS knows what to do. They know how to rob you, they know how to steal from you, they know how to lie, they know how to retaliate. They're mean. At first, they start off with 3 social workers. Now, I can understand too, because if one social worker is bad, the other one will testify for you. But still, it's like they're determined to find something, and when they can't find something, they'll fabricate something. So, I'm sorry, but our daughter was told to emancipate, to divorce. She didn't know the repercussions. When you emancipate from your family, you divorce your brothers, and she has 3 brothers. 3 brothers. Her oldest, you know, he doesn't, she doesn't know that well, but she knows her other 2 brothers quite well because she was pals with them. Now, they still see her, by the way, which, thank God, I encourage my sons to do so. But, that wasn't bad enough. She also changed her name. Removing a name when you're given at birth, and the name we gave her middle name was a beautiful place in Kauai. It's a beautiful place in the island of Kauai. And we gave her that name because she's beautiful. And we loved our daughter. And it hurts us every day that I talk about her and not see her. There are so many images around our home of her and so many things in my heart. But the social worker went further. She said, you're going to seal the birth certificate of your real parents and get a new birth certificate and put your adopted foster care parents. Parents that didn't care about the child, they cared about the money that they're going to get. You see, you have to understand, money is given to foster parents. And if there's special needs, they're double the amount of money. Now, I don't know the exact amount that's given there, but I do know that she got her new birth certificate. And on top of that, she got a second Social Security card. And what's so sad about the second Social Security card, she was depleting from my funds, my Social Security funds that I've paid over the last 60 years into a retirement that I'm supposed to get back. She was double dipping because she had her first Social Security card and her second one, and she's getting the double amount. She's getting close to over $2,000 a month, but it wasn't going to her. It's going to the foster care. And together, both of them made $250,000. They didn't have trouble with money. They both had combined incomes over $250,000. And I know that they have other children, and I don't know all the details, but it really hurt us when she did all this. And I know it wasn't her thinking. She was just following what the social workers do. That's the trouble with the child protection system. They're corrupt, and they want to direct what they do on you. So all of you listen out there, do not trust a social worker. Do not talk to them unless you have your attorney talk to them and talk to them. Now, Lauren Smith, welcome, Lauren Smith. Why is not the American people unite together to fight the evil that comes from our government through CPS? They are. I'm fighting. I fight CPS every day. I try to explain to them they're good and bad CPS. There's good. I've had 4 social workers on here. So 4 out of over 900 have been social workers. I'd love to have a policeman come on and talk how he works with them. It is being fought. If you know, we have a new elected president, and he is hired for not pay, a person that doesn't need money, that is a person that has a lot of expertise. I mean, he has developed a reusable rocket. He's made electric car. And that person is investigating the wasteful spending, and it's ruffling feathers because we do have a lot of people that get checks and they don't deserve the checks, or they sit at home and do nothing. They're workers for the federal government, and then now they're told to go back to work at the office or leave. And so what they're doing, they're shaking it up, and they are talking about social services, which the CPS system, the child protection, is a part of. The director of social services just resigned before the new director's coming on because she refused to let the Elon Musk and the Doge person, I guess he's called DOD, Doge, or whatever it is, of gaining access to information. So I know that there is a government shakeup of social services, and hopefully they'll pinpoint the money that is being fruitfully sent from the federal government to the state down to the county. In fact, in Richmond, Kentucky, for the last 7-8 months, they've been investigating where $1 million disappeared in Richmond, Kentucky. They call their CPS, their child protection system, the cabinet. And they've found one person, a social worker, that's embezzled $400,000. Now, they still have to find this other $600,000, but I guarantee it's probably another person that embezzled it. So there is some shakeup going on. And there was a lady in Georgia, Nancy Schaefer, that is my age, in her 70s, and she was murdered. She is a senator from Georgia, and they made it look like her husband killed her, and her husband died of a suicide. That's not the case because she was an advocate against CPS. She wanted to abolish CPS and start over. Now, my feeling is you don't abolish something, you correct something or fix it. Now, there's a time when you have to let go on. I have a car that's 25 years old, and maybe I should have sold it, you know, uh, when it was 10 years old, but I kept it on and I invested money into it. But the way the cars go, it costs $50,000 every car you get. So if I paid $50,000 for 25 years, that's more money than I've spent in keeping the car alive. And the trouble with the car is that the parts are getting harder to find and replace. But I like to fix the system. If the system's in place, you change its leadership. You get its board of directors and supervisors to watch over it. CPS needs a watchdog. They need somebody more than just the director at each place. Because when I met with the director, in my case, he was bad. His employees are bad. They lie. My case was horrendous of nothing but lies, evilness among people that don't believe in God because they should never have done what they did to our family. Our family should never have been destroyed. It still hurts today. It still hurts today. Now, NYP says, no, I'm upset with CPS and the justice system. That is what's on paper about my character and my husband. The last thing I would do is hurt my baby. This has gone on too long. I agree with you, and you will be able to do something. When your case is closed, I hope you sue the CPS has done all this. I hope you sue the hospital. They hid all this information from you. It's a lawsuit that if you have facts and you have things you can appear in court, you can win. You can sue CPS. You can fight CPS. I agree about the pain that you're feeling for your lost baby and how they rip you and broke your heart. There are so many parents in here that have talked to me that's been now 5 years, 10 years that their children have taken away from them and they still hurt. They still wonder what to do. Can I get my child back? Families are the most important thing in life. I really feel that families is the spice of life, meaning you are creating a bond among people and you're born into the world of people that you raise and you hope that they go out and be better people. Now, I have, helped 6 children. 3 of our older ones who have lost touch with us since 2014, which was just before we had involvement in CPS. They seem to be very successful. They have families, they have homes, and they're taking care of their children. So I'm glad to hear that. But I'm sad that we're not part of their families. Now, my 3 younger children, we've raised them. We put them in good public schools. We had a beautiful home. Each child had his room and a bathroom. They had a beautiful yard and a play area and everything. They were heavily involved in Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts. They're involved in AYSO soccer. We went to their schools to hear the recitals, their music recitals, their plays, any event they had, the Halloween carnival or the things like that. We as parents went back to school nights and met with the teachers. We examined their works on the bulletin board. We very cared about our children. We very cared about what would happen to them. We're very protective of our children. Unfortunately, we had some rogue parents that went wild. My wife's family turned against us. They've been never for us since the beginning. It's going up knowing her for almost 32 years coming up, or 33. Over 30 years we've known each other. And, she wanted a family. She came to me with a single child who had no father. She couldn't even know who her father was. And she was a good woman. She is a good woman. And she tried to be good with her parents, but her parents did a lot of bad things to her. In fact, if CPS was investigating her parents would have been definitely investigated because there was child abuse and child neglect that took place on my wife. I don't want to go into details, but it's horrific. It's horrific. Anyway, fighting CPS is hard, and we all need to express ourselves. My podcast has had positive results. Just the other day, I had a lady that has been listening to me for a long time, and she called to tell me almost a year later that what I did, and she said, "Thank you, Bob. What you did is give me hope. And what you said, you're a very good, motivated, and encouraging person. And I followed you, and I got my children back. You will get your children back. It takes an attorney, and I don't, how you get one, that is mind boggling. Quick sell of your home, taking out a second mortgage, taking out a credit line, taking out a loan on some personal belongings, or loan from a family or friends, but it's so important that you have the expertise. I like to say it's always like doing open heart surgery. Are you going to take a knife and cut open your chest and take your heart out and try to fix your heart? No, you're going to hire a doctor, a professional doctor who is trained and educated, who's done an internship, who has gone to that medical school and has a license and has a mentor and, learned to be a good heart surgeon. That's what you need in CPS. You need that attorney that can navigate, because being in CPS, you're like Alice in Wonderland. You've fallen in the rabbit hole and you don't know where you're going. You meet the Cheshire Cat who sends you from one place to one place. My wife and I would go to people that are supposed to be counselors, people that are supposed to help you. They're called CASA, ombudsperson, guardian ad litem. They all are ears for the child protection system. When a child protection system is corrupt, and ours is very corrupt, it's because of the money part. They discovered how nice it is to have a BMW, new eyelashes, new makeup. I'm describing my social worker who didn't even complete high school. They're given incentives. They're given bonuses. It's a very corrupt agency. I know firsthand. I know 900 of you have said the same thing. So if anything else, make sure you have an attorney. Make sure you have an attorney and make that attorney work for you. Now I'm getting close to the end of my podcast, and I'm going to have to sign off soon. It's 11 o'clock, and so my time is up. And I want to thank again today. I want to thank NYP from California City, California. You've been on my show numerous times. I'm glad we have a solution, and I know you know the answer. You need to have those people in court. And Lauren, I have no idea where you're from, but thank you for coming into my room. And I know that you're upset with CPS. We need to fight it. So yes, we still need to fight the corrupt CPSs, the corrupt. And David Roman, I'm sorry I had to exit you out of the room, but we are here to talk about positive things about CPS, not to badmouth people. He was from San Bernardino, California. And by the way, I passed your message on to Vincent Davis. So I did listen to you. And who else do we have here? Do we have anybody else here? Nope, that's it. So what I want to do now is I want to thank you all for being in my podcast. And I have a person right now named Teresa Badley Man. Thank you for the thumbs up. So God bless you all. And I will see you tonight. I've been on this podcast now since October 2023, twice a day, 14 shows a week. And hello, Mike Petrie. It's after the hour, and you say you've been scheduled to be on my show. The anger in me prevents from doing the show because I'm almost at the point of no return. Don't say that, Mike. I'm delaying the end of my show to address your question. I can't afford an attorney, but at the same time, I feel like I don't need one. Look, what I disclosed to you isn't some rumor. Some by show, it's real stuff. I've gone by the law. I kept my controllable anger under control because one thing that needs to be paid attention. I'm not afraid. Okay. Understand. Mike, call me tonight. Be a guest on my show. All you have to do is write to Grace at vincentwdavis.com. Email her. You want to be on tonight's show, tomorrow morning show, you email her one of my 14 shows, she'll get you on. Okay, Mike? Also, if you don't want to be a guest and you just want to call my number. My number will be up tonight. But I do have to go. Thank you, Mike, for calling in. This is Bob Pace saying, still keep fighting for your kids. God bless you all. And I'm signing.